Hello everybody, welcome to your tarot of the month. It is July 1st, or perhaps the 2nd when you see this in Canada. If you have the day off, for happy Canada Day. We're going to take a look at what the month of July holds for us, and hopefully it will be nice. So first of all, I just want to burn some sage. If any of you have any sage, cedar, sweetgrass, rosemary, incense, anything, you might want to take this time to cleanse. And of course, we'll cleanse the cards. If you want to see my extended version, for the last couple of reports, for the eclipses, I gave my extended reports and readings for each sign for free because we're in this eclipse season. You'll be getting another video coming out July 4th. Happy Independence Day to the US. July 4th is another eclipse. So I'll be giving the same thing, just to give everybody a little boost, because it's a powerful time of change when there's 3 eclipses that happen every 2 weeks, along with 6 retrograde planets in the skies. So it's been a bit of a doozy, and it's good to know how to handle that energy for the better, right? All right, so I'm just focusing my mind now on July 2020. July 2020. July. Show me July. Show me July 2020. All right. Our first card is the 8 of Cups. So if you've been watching my videos before, you know that this is not an easy card, and it's not hard to tell just by looking at it. All the cups are empty, except maybe the bottom has a little bit of water in 2 of them. They look red, so that implies heat or dryness when there should be water and, you know, clarity. The water is dark. There's maybe little pools of clarity around the bottoms, but or maybe they actually look like sort of dried up lily pads. The flowers are drooping over. They don't have much more to give. Everything's overflowing. Now, so you have the astrology of this card. If you see at the top is Saturn and Pisces down there at the bottom. So Saturn and Pisces means that people feel like it's a life lesson of recognizing that we are all in this together. We're all one. We're not separate. We're not isolated. Everything is connected to everything. And it's also a lesson that if we don't learn to accept that we are all part of a collective whole, if we don't learn to have some compassion for ourselves and others, this astrology can mean that some people end up even as far as being institutionalized, because the life lesson is you will learn that we are all one. Now, during a pandemic, even though some people are just not getting it, what more of a message could that be? It's depressing, yes, but it does show us that the whole planet is connected by this virus. We've had proof. One airplane ride can show you that. So that's a positive way to spin it, and it is bringing people together, but it is also isolating a lot of people too. So we want to reach out to people who seem isolated, find ways to work around the isolation, meaning sometimes it's harder, I know, with elderly people, but if you can introduce them to some sort of technology so that they can talk to people on video instead of sitting in a room alone somewhere in a home. You know, think of who you know who's lonely and try to reach out. And if you're struggling with this yourself, it encourages you to also reach out to people. Don't let yourself get this down and dark. There are people that will support you and help you. Card number 2, the Emperor. Well, the Emperor usually means, as you can see, pretty imperial looking on his throne here. Pretty fierce, warrior-like Emperor. He can represent, because it's a Capricorn card, he can represent government, patriarchy, corporations, any kind of authority and how it's being used. If it's in your personal life, you want to think about your dad, your grandfather, your uncles, your bosses. It can be women too, by the way. But it's just, how are people in authority acting? How are you responding to authority? Are you taking charge of things? Are you overbearing? Are you balanced? Are you protecting people really or not? And so this, of course, can have personal implications if it relates to someone in your life who might be a bit, you know, controlling or dominant in the dark side. In the good side, maybe they are very strong at what they're doing, and they work very hard to maintain what they had to provide for people. And we can also, of course, look at that as a card of government scrutiny, and just how businesses are acting. We'll put the cards all together after we do the first three. And okay, that interesting. Okay, next we have the Hermit. So people are going to want to. It's so interesting because the Eight of Cups is the card of I'm lonely, no one cares, why bother? The Hermit is the card of I like my time alone. I choose to have time alone. I enjoy my introspection. My introspection and aloneness actually means something. My introspection and solitude are productive. Completely different. Both cases, you might be alone, but with a completely different attitude or purpose. One feels abandoned, one feels liberated. So, as you can see, the Hermit has all kinds of light beams on him. And he's surrounded by wheat, which suggests fertility. And he's holding the sun in his hand. And he's got this egg with a snake and a bit of blue skies around it, suggesting that he's really this close to feeling some sort of rebirth. So it's a time to, with all three of these, it's a time to transition. It's a time to transition feeling abandoned and lonely into chosen reflection and solitude, if need be. The Emperor in the middle could mean that applies to an emperor-like person that you know, or it could be sort of the advice. He's in the middle of these two. How did this get to this? It gets there by structure, gets there by hard work, it gets there by boundaries, it gets there by taking charge and saying, I'm in charge of my life. Abandonment is not in charge of their life. The Hermit is in charge. He's saying, I'm heading out to the mountains. I'm staying home. I'm doing what I need to do. And this one is like, I have no choice. I'm helpless. No one's there for me. So the Emperor would be the advice. What an interesting reading that is. Especially when we're in the signs of, when we've got so many Cancer planets going on. Because Cancer, you know, will retreat within its shell. And sometimes Cancer does have abandonment kind of issues. And sometimes Cancer will be like the most protective parent you've ever found. And sometimes crabs like to be in their shells. And they enjoy it there. So if you would like to see the extended reading, I'm going to pull 6 more cards. It'll go into much more detail. And you can catch that at patreon.com and look for Catherine Riverrain.